this is month 2 of my lettering style challenge for 2025. Last month we did the Optimist style, which was a beveled serif. This month I am challenging you to create your own Playful decorative display style. That again comes out via my newsletter each month, and there is a single letter for you to use as inspiration to develop a whole new style, as well as all my tips for creating new lettering styles to get you started, and a mini workbook where you can draw all your letters. This is the style I came up with. It's called Pinky Promise. There is a full uppercase and lowercase alphabet in the workbook version in my shop. So that's kind of a quick peek at it. That's my cover, that's my uppercase, and then you can see the rest if you go to the link on my shop. And that is printable, as well as there are worksheet options for you to draw in Procreate. So as part of the monthly challenge, I also want to teach you how to draw the inspiration letter. So the letter that is inspiring you this month is the second P here. So I'm gonna take that and copy it and bring it over to a new page and show you how I would approach drawing it from scratch. So I'm just gonna open a new canvas, and normally I wouldn't blow things up like that because they get pixelated, but for the purposes of today's project, actually, let's do this. Let's just do a normal screen size and click paste. All right, so the first thing I would probably do is create some letter guidelines. So what I usually do for that is just take a basic monoline brush, and I'm prone to using a blue color for my guidelines, and then I'll draw it on the page, top, and that makes a perfect line. And then same thing along the top of my letter. And then I can grab it and kind of shift it to create my guidelines. And then I'm just gonna change my mind. I'm gonna draw one more layer as my X height. And now I'll pinch those together and reduce the opacity. So then I have my basic guideline. So I'll rename that guideline. And I'm gonna drag my letter to the top and just keep it handy here for inspiration. So drawing it from scratch, I usually would just use a dark colored color. I'm gonna add a new layer. And so if I were working on this, part of what I wanted to do with this style is incorporate a lot of hearts for me. So I thought about how often can I use a heart in my letters without it getting too cheesy, but also kind of keeping it fun and playful. So I ended up deciding that for some of the letters, I could do a heart like that. And that's why it's called a display font. This works well for titles. It works well for headlines. This is not a style you would want to use to write out long bodies of text or even sentences, really, but it's really cute for short phrases and headlines, as you can see here. And then, so now I just need to kind of thicken the lines a little. So you might want to reduce the opacity of that, sketch, add a new layer on top, and then what I usually do is draw one line here and kind of leave some room, and then draw another line here, leave some room. And then I wanted rounded edges, so I just came in then and kind of eyeballed the rest to get my shape. You can touch it up, you can erase a little. Same thing on this side. And if it takes you more than one try, that's okay. I've drawn so many coloring pages the last few months for my books on this. I'm pretty good at eyeballing to connect the lines. But if you need to touch up, it's really easy to do in Procreate. So then I've got my base for this P. And if I was creating more letters, what I would actually do is duplicate this and save a copy. And that would be the basis for other letters. Like this would be the stem of my B or things like that. And that's how I keep consistency with more than one letter. So I've got my base here. And then sometimes you could draw the whole thing on one layer, or you could keep, if you know you're gonna like alter the colors like I plan to do, then you might want the other part of your letter P on another layer. So, oops, I need my brush or my monoline. So this time I'm gonna be a little more precise since it's not my sketch. And I'm thinking about my heart shape still being really legible as a P. So I'm gonna try to keep my lines as if it were very similar to a P, and then maybe I want this to come even further up here, like that. Make sure it's really readable as a letter P, even though I'm changing the shape. Okay. And then what I decided to do is just add some fun details. So if you go to my maximalist video, you'll see something similar to this. I'm gonna drag this closer so I can kind of repeat what I did there. So I used a really bright color palette. So I'm gonna just drag and drop. This is my color selection tool, and I'm gonna make that the same color. And then I need my heart, oops, got a stray mark there. I need my heart to be behind it, so I'm gonna drag that to the bottom, and then I'll recolor that in blue. Whoops, on the wrong layer. And then I'll grab this bright pink color, and I'm gonna use this solid dots garland and just create an outline. And this kind of reminded me of a postage stamp, and since it is for the month of February, I was thinking of Valentine's, of course, so that kind of was a lot of inspiration behind this style and how I chose to create it as well. And then to add details, oops, I did that on the wrong layer. Of course I did. All right, so I've got to undo that because otherwise I can't add my other details. So just 2-finger tap to undo. This time I'm gonna make sure I'm on the right layer, right below the stem of my P, and then I have to redraw this. You can see with these brushes, that's pretty quick and easy to do. And then, all right. So I want to add some extra details on top too. So I'm going to use this open dots with a really light color. Make it a little smaller, a little bigger. All right, that's perfect. I'm at a 3% on a standard canvas size. And then, okay, so I'll just make that. And then if you want that to be more bold, what I'll usually do is just duplicate so it gets a little brighter, merge down. And then I'm gonna take pink and fill the color. So if I just click continue filling, I can do that. And then for the heart part of my P, I'm gonna add some stripes. So I'm gonna take, let's see, which color do I have? This darker color. And I'm gonna take the vertical stripes, I think the fine. Yep, and then I'm just gonna go over it like that, tap the layer, clipping mask, and if I want to move it at all, I can do that with my arrow tool. And I also want to add a center because I felt like it made it easier to tell that it was a P because a P has a center. And all I did for that was go back to a basic monoline and kind of mimic my heart shape. And then I can get rid of my sketch and my guidelines. And now I have my letter P. You can see I drew it twice, so it came out slightly different. I think I kept all my original letters a little more narrow, so I could easily redo that. Oop, I've got a stray mark somewhere. And if I wanted an easy way to visualize it, I could select all those layers and then manually come to freeform with the arrow tool and kind of make it squishier, so it matches a little better to my original. And if I got too much distortion, I would just use this as a template and redraw it from scratch one more time. So that is your challenge for this month. I hope you have fun with it. I can't wait to see what alphabets you do on your own if you make it from scratch. And then if you want details on the lettering challenge or my tips for creating lettering styles, all that jazz, you can find it in the caption of the YouTube video or the blog post. Happy creating.